Hey, you found me. I'm glad you did. First question. I want to ask you a question. You can answer out loud if you want to. I won't be able to hear you actually, but you can answer out loud. Are you over 40, over 50, over 60, or 70, or 80? Are you in the second half of life? That's where I am. I'm in the second half of life. Halftime's over. The band has left the field, and we're getting ready for the kickoff in the third quarter. I hope it's early third quarter. We're just getting kicked off. But that's where I am, and I'm here to talk to you today about our second half of our life and creating in the second half of our life. We're capable of creating in the second half of our life anything we want to. And I think it's easier than early in our life. People might think, oh no, when the younger I had more energy. Yeah, sure we did. Didn't have all the aches and pains. Yeah, that's true. But we didn't have all the experiences we had. And the things I want to talk about creating today need one tool. If you need just one tool, that's it. A brain. That's really it. Your brain will help you create. Your brain will make the creation for you. And your brain is a very unique thing. It's the most unique thing in the world. That's what will make whatever you create unique. So when I talk about creating, we're talking about writing that first book. Or maybe just that first paragraph. How about writing that first song? It's time. I'll give you an example. I'm going to tell you about these things real quick to give you my bona fides. I wrote and published my first book when I was 62. I followed that with 3 more. I wrote my first song at age 64 and finished enough songs that an album was made out of those songs. I was married again at 64, which was the happiest thing to me, even more than those things, other things I did. At age 65, I became an entrepreneur in the 64, beginning of 65. We'll talk about that business later on. But that's a creation. Those things are all creations, and they all came from my brain. Is my brain something special? No, you're going to see my brain isn't all special. My wife says I have a carnival going on inside my head sometimes. But that's because I take a lot of life experiences and back on. We'll even discuss some of those, because some of them have been very good, some of them not so good. But they've all given me fodder, I guess you call, to create and to write and to start. And that's the biggest thing, is to start. A friend of mine the other day, he was asked about, he said, I don't know how you do this. He has a copy of my first book. He said, how do you do this? You sit down and write this book. I can't do that. Sure you can. I'm going to give you an exercise right now that I gave him. I said, make a comment right now out loud about me, my shirt, my glasses, my receding hairline. Be kind, receding hairline. Anything around me. In the background you see right now, I have behind me the guitars on the wall. Whatever, you want to make a comment, say it out loud. Okay, take a minute, say it out loud. Okay. Take a pen and a piece of paper and write down what you just said. There you go. You began your creation. It's that simple. Now, people might say, well, that's pretty flimsy. No, it's not. That's how it all starts. If you're going to write a book, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's talk about that subject today. Writing your first book. There are no boundaries in it. There's no limitations for you. You have a wealth. If you're in the second half of your life, you have a wealth of things you can write about. Think about it. All the way back to when you were a child, coming forward to now. If you're past 40, 50, every year you get, you're adding more and more experiences onto what you have to write about. If you take it and look when you were younger and maybe had more energy, you're thinking to write, you didn't know anything. Let's be realistic about it. When I was a teenager, I looked at my parents and my grandparents and thought, man, these people are slow. I was the smartest guy I knew. The smartest guy. Until I hit about 40, I realized what an idiot that punk was. I didn't know anything back then. And at 40, I was smarter. At 50, I was even smarter, and the experiences bring it to you. That's your wealth of information you can write about. And there are no boundaries for you when you're writing it down. We'll talk about the publishing later. We'll talk about people looking at it later. Those are all things that we can address at a later time. That's not the important thing right now. The important thing is you start. So how do we get started? Well, there's a number of ways, but they all deal, if you want to get accurate, a pen and a piece of paper. And it's a pretty simple process. If you don't have a story in mind, and let's go with that. Some people watching may have a story in mind. They have a murder mystery they want to write, or maybe have something true to their life they want to write. But let's say you don't. Pick someone alive or maybe deceased and write them a letter. You don't even have to give them this letter. Maybe it's someone who really pissed you off at some point. Maybe it's some girl or guy you were in love with back in school. It didn't work out. Maybe it's to your wife, your husband, coworker, whoever. Just write a little letter. Just write out. Don't have to start out dear or anybody. Just start writing out some things you think about that person. It's a great exercise in starting getting your thoughts down. And you'll see, once you pick the pen up, you push it down, and once you start making it move, it's like magic. It starts to flow for you. The thoughts will start coming out. And when they do, you'll see the magic of creating happening right before your very eyes. Find some place nice and quiet to do it. Don't let people interrupt you. Don't let them ask, what are you doing? What are you doing? Forget all that. Just focus on what you're doing. It doesn't have to be a long one. It could be a paragraph. It could be a note. That's all it takes. Once you get that going, you'll see it popping out. Now, maybe you like to type. Do it on the keyboard if you want to. I'm not a keyboard guy. Not a good guy. I'll type stuff later. The process of writing really is, some people say it's cathartic, you can sell kind of things. I think it's enjoyable. Is it work? You better believe it can be work. We'll be talking about goals and how to set up your time to write, the best tools to use, which really is one between your ears, how you can write about any topic you want. Think for a moment. Maybe you're a fan of science fiction and you want to write stuff about science fiction. You can do that. Maybe you like the outdoors, maybe the woods, you like to write about that. Maybe you have some childhood experiences, you want to write about that. Maybe you want to write a murder mystery. Write about that. It's anything you want to do to create. It expands your mind. And what are the reasons to do it? Well, first of all, it's the enjoyment of doing it. Second, it's something you can do you feel like you've accomplished, that you can get past the hurdle, and I did this. Maybe it's a legacy. I'm going to tell you a little story about me personally, and something that spurred me on, which actually happened years before, and it came back and it was reintroduced to me, and it's one of the reasons I started writing. Even though what I write doesn't relate to that, but the story is this. Probably 35 years ago, I wrote a story about my granddad, my grandpa and I, and it had to do with something I saw him do that amazed me. And I'll real quick about, we stopped at this place, these guys were shooting skeet. I'm from Iowa. I don't know if you're in California and Oregon, maybe you don't shoot skeet. It's a clay disc they shoot out here. Guys with shotguns, shoot 'em contest, best so many shots out of 100 or something like that. Anyway, they were throwing out 10 for these guys. These guys would shoot, and they're hitting 9 or 10. I watched my granddad pull up, knock down 10, shooting right-handed, and then switch the gun over and say, do it again, and knock down 10, left-handed. I was always amazed by that. So anyway, I wrote a story about it. Some years later, my eldest granddaughter found the story. I didn't give it to her, someone gave it to her. And she rewrote it and took it to a school. She was in high school, rewrote it, fixed it up there. And her teacher loved it. She loved it. She showed me this thing. And I said, wow. I said, I was amazed that she would do that, and stuff. And she said, it's a great story. She said, I had no idea. She says, it really let me relate to you and to more, and to someone who I'll never meet, your grandpa. Now, the reason I bring that up, maybe you want to write your legacy. Maybe you want to tell your children or grandchildren or nephews and nieces about some things in your life. Maybe about your family. Maybe about some thoughts you've had. Maybe about some struggles you went through. Maybe about some successes you had. Maybe you were a track star. They don't know it. You can write about those things. All you have to do is start. And that's what we're going to be doing here. He said, we're going to be talking about this. And once you do, you're going to start seeing some things come together, and someday you'll be amazed. You'll look at, I did this. It amazed me. I never thought I'd be a published author. I never thought for a second I would have an album made of some songs I wrote. And I'm going to continue on with that. While we are on this channel, you and I are going to create. I want you to create, and I'm going to create. You're going to help me create. We're going to make this as interactive as we can. And you can give me some ideas, and I'll give you ideas, and we're going to walk through this together. Because I truly believe this is something we should do together. I want to show you something just quickly, but this is, you can go from any area you want to. This, I'm not hawking these books, I'm just showing to you. This is a book that I wrote called North Police. It's a children's book. And that came after this, which was my very first book, which is a nonfiction book. Since then, I've also written this book, which is a political comedy. So, the reason I show you that is this. Not selling them. I'm going to be giving some away someplace just so you can get a chance to read them. But what I want to show you for is look at the variety there. Nonfiction, a children's book, and a political comedy. 3 totally different things. Never thought I'd be able to do all that. You can too. You've got the tool right here. And that's what we'll be talking about going forward. Remember, there's nothing at all good about waiting. I hate to say it like this, but we all got a shelf life. I have one, and I know it's coming. It inspires me to go further all the time, to do more, and I hope it does for you too. And hey, but we'll have a good time with this. I don't want to look at it as, well, I got to get in a hurry. Time's running out. But time kind of is running out a little bit. So I hope you come back. We'll be talking soon. We'll be taking our first steps on our next show, pen to paper. We're going to talk about going from pen to publishing. We're going to take it one step at a time, and when we come back next time, we'll be working on our first chapters. And I hope you enjoy it. I've enjoyed my time here with you. We're just getting started. This is now, I'm having a YouTube channel. Never thought I'd do that either. This is all part of creating. I want to thank you all for stopping by. Remember, as my grandpa used to say, keep your hat on so we know you.